Okay, so, you've all been sending in some really fascinating stuff about what makes businesses really tick
Yeah.
and, what drives them forward. And we're diving in today to really kind of get down to those those real core ideas that can help you push your own business, further, faster, make it really thrive.
I think it's something everyone thinks about no matter what stage they're at.
Yeah.
Whether you're just starting out,
Right.
or you've been a freelancer for years, or you're leading a team.
Yeah.
There's always these moments, I think, where you feel stuck.
Totally.
And that initial spark kind of maybe dims a little bit.
Yeah. You kind of lose that momentum.
Yeah, and self-doubt creeps in, and the path forward just looks really blurry.
Absolutely. And what I found so interesting in what you sent over to us to take a look at was, it really paints this picture that success in business, it's not a straight line.
Yeah.
It's not a, A to B. It's so full of, these twists and turns and, unexpected roadblocks.
Exactly. And it's not about avoiding those challenges, really. It's more like how you navigate them that defines where you end up.
I think that's a great point. And that really leads into the first thing that really jumped out at us from the material.
Yeah.
Which is this concept of resilience.
Yes. And the material really emphasizes this, not just as sort of bouncing back, from a setback, but like it's an active muscle that you have to develop.
Yeah, you got to work it out.
You have to train it. And setbacks aren't just, possible. They are highly probable.
All right. It's going to happen.
They're going to happen.
Yeah.
So think of them as like an inevitable part of the process.
And the sources had some really incredible examples.
Yeah.
People who faced what seemed like absolute career derailment.
Yeah.
We're talking about people like Steve Jobs getting fired from Apple.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Or Oprah Winfrey being told she wasn't fit for television. These weren't just, small setbacks.
Yeah.
These were huge things.
Huge things. And what's really, I think, insightful in looking back at those stories is not just that they persevered, but how they did it.
Yeah. How did they get through it?
Yeah. The sources point to this idea of psychological flexibility.
Oh, interesting.
This ability to kind of adapt your thinking and your behavior when something unexpected happens.
Right.
So failure in this context, it isn't a full stop.
It's not the end.
It's not the end. It's a critical data point. It's a lesson in disguise, as one of the sources put it.
So you're saying resilience isn't about just like, pushing through it.
Right.
It's about actually like learning and adjusting from it.
Yeah. Using that information to inform, your next step.
Absolutely. So what is it that allows people to, keep going when they face, these big challenges and, almost like career-ending type adversity?
Well, the sources are really clear on this. It's mindset.
Mindset. Okay.
And it's not just about, being positive or having a can-do attitude.
Right.
It's a much deeper fundamental belief in your capacity to overcome challenges.
Okay.
So the material talks about the power of a growth mindset.
Okay, a growth mindset.
Which basically means, you understand that your abilities and your intelligence, these things can be developed, through dedication and hard work, versus a fixed mindset.
Okay.
Where you kind of assume that your qualities are just static.
Okay, so this isn't just about saying I can do this, but actually believing that even if you can't do it yet, you can learn it, you can get there.
You can get there, exactly. And the sources highlight how this belief system directly impacts how you interpret setbacks.
Yeah.
So a growth mindset sees them as, opportunities for learning and growth, while a fixed mindset might see them as confirmation of limitations. Okay,
that makes a lot of sense. But I think, even if you have the best mindset in the world, you still got to do something.
You got to do something.
It's not just enough to think it. You have to actually take action.
Absolutely. And the sources talk a lot about this.
Yeah.
The dangers of analysis paralysis.
Right.
No one ever feels completely ready.
Yeah.
And waiting for the perfect conditions.
Right.
Often it just leads to, nothing happening.
Yeah.
So consistent action.
Right.
Even imperfect action.
Yeah. Just got to get started.
You just got to get started. That's what generates momentum.
Yeah.
And gives you real world feedback.
And that inherently means, you got to take some risks.
Yeah.
And that's something I think a lot of people get nervous about.
You're right.
This fear of failure. It can be paralyzing.
Right. But the material we looked at, it actually reframes failure.
Yeah.
In a more constructive light.
Okay. Okay.
So it talks about reframing failure not as the end, but as an integral stepping stone to success.
Okay.
So think of it like rapid iteration. Each attempt you make, even if it doesn't get you exactly what you want, provides you with valuable insights that you can then use to refine your approach.
So you're saying failure is just part of the learning process?
Yeah, it's part of the learning process. It's about extracting those lessons and applying them.
Okay, so I guess I'd ask you, the listener, when was the last time you really pushed yourself outside of your comfort zone in your business?
Yeah.
Think about that feeling of excitement and maybe a little bit of apprehension.
Yeah.
These sources are saying that feeling of uncertainty.
Yeah.
That's actually where the most significant growth happens.
Right. Being uncomfortable in a way is a good sign.
Right. So get uncomfortable.
It's a signal that you're stretching your capabilities.
You're pushing yourself.
You're pushing yourself. And the sources say to really seek out those challenges.
Don't avoid them.
Don't avoid them, because really when you navigate the unknown, that's where the real breakthroughs happen.
Okay. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about something that I think is really important that sometimes gets overlooked.
Yeah.
And the material really highlighted the impact of your environment.
Right.
And there was one phrase that really jumped out at me. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
It's powerful.
It's powerful, but it's also kind of scary.
It is.
Because, you really need to look at the people around you.
Yes. Take a hard look at your network.
Your colleagues, your mentors, your close friends.
Yeah. Are these people supportive of your ambitions?
Do they challenge you?
Yeah. Or are they kind of negative,
maybe
unintentionally projecting their own limitations onto your vision?
And that's hard to do, I think.
It is.
Because, sometimes it's hard to admit that maybe someone close to you isn't really, the best person for you to be around if you're trying to grow.
It's hard, but it's necessary.
So what you're saying is,
if
you can consciously cultivate a network of positive, forward-thinking, driven individuals that can really have a big impact on your motivation and your progress.
Absolutely. It can be a surprisingly direct route to making things happen.
And the way that networking was described in the material was really interesting too.
Yeah.
Because it's not about just collecting, LinkedIn connections or handing out business cards at events.
It's about building real relationships, meaningful connections with people who not only cheer you on, but also offer different perspectives.
Challenge you
in constructive ways.
And the material also said that network needs to evolve as you do.
It has to.
So what worked for you, early on might not be the right fit as your business grows and you have bigger ambitions.
Yeah. You can't get too comfortable.
Don't get complacent.
So
you're saying don't settle for a network that doesn't challenge you.
Or actively doubts your goals.
Right. You want to be around people who inspire you.
And hold you to a higher standard.
Absolutely. So finally, the material talked a lot about the role of continuous learning.
Yeah.
It seemed like this was something that was just absolutely crucial.
Non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable.
For anyone who wants to really succeed long-term.
Right.
The sources talk about this idea of maintaining a student mentality throughout your career.
Yeah.
They recognize that things are always changing.
Right.
And if you stay static, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah, you got to be able to adapt.
You got to adapt and learn and grow. And this isn't just about formal qualifications.
Yeah.
Right? The examples are really broad.
Yeah.
They talk about reading industry publications, listening to podcasts, actively seeking out feedback, asking insightful questions.
So it's about being curious.
Yeah.
And always striving to learn more and improve.
That drive to constantly improve yourself is key.
So if you connect this all back, to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
You're saying that knowledge is power.
Knowledge is a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
The more you understand your industry, your customers, yourself, the better equipped you are to make strategic decisions.
Yeah.
And adapt to new challenges and ultimately get where you want to be.
So what's the core message here?
Yeah.
For someone who's, in the thick of it, building a business, dealing with the ups and downs every day.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
It's about consistent effort, day in and day out, showing up and doing the work.
Even when you don't feel like it.
Even when motivation is low.
And it goes back to those key things we've talked about.
Yes.
Being able to bounce back.
Taking action, even when you're unsure.
Building the right network.
And never stop learning.
Never stop learning. So if you're out there listening, and you're feeling stuck, or you're facing a challenge, the material is saying, don't think of this as the end.
It's not a roadblock.
It's a detour.
It's a detour. You can get back on track.
I can get back on track.
You have the ability to learn and adapt and grow.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive into, what really drives business motivation. We've looked at resilience and mindset and the need to take action.
The importance of your environment and network.
And the power of continuous learning.
So much good stuff.
Yeah. We hope that this has given you some valuable things to think about. And maybe re-energize you a little bit.
A little boost.
To keep pushing forward with your business.
And if any of these areas were particularly interesting to you, go and dig in some more.
There's so much out there,
A wealth of resources.
To help you build these skills.
It's all out there.
And remember, your journey is unique. And you have the ability to navigate it.
You've got this.
Keep.
Leap, connect.
Keep building.
Then keep going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.